Hey, what's happening guys? You asked for it, so I decided to pull the dwarf Pygmy Corys, the old Corydoras pygmaeus, out of the bench tank, and we're going to breed these little guys. Okay, I've had a bit of a swap around in the bench tank, and I've taken all that, all the old plants out. That soil in there was completely drained of any fertilisation and stuff, and it really did need some root tabs in there, so we're going to do that up on another video. But I pulled out these little dwarf corys. Now you can see them down the bottom here. I've literally just set this tank up and I've just put them in, and they're already exploring around the place. What I've done, just to get you up to speed with what I've done so far, okay, I've taken the tank water from the bench tank and I have filled it up, okay, about 6 to 7 inches up this tank. This is a 20-gallon tank. Okay, this is the one we spawned the zebra danios in. It's a nice size. It's the one that I made that raised trickle filter in at the back there. It used to have shrimp in it quite a few months back. And but when I put them all in the bench tank, I decided when I was going to do this breeding series that I was going to utilise this tank for doing so. It's a good size for certain species. So we've got them in there. Now I've taken the tank water, the existing tank water, straight out of there, and I put it straight into this tank here. So the water parameters, chemistry is identical, and we've put a cycled filter in there. Okay, super important. Like I told you on one of the other videos, if you've got a fish tank, buy a sponge filter, put it in there, hide it behind the plants, maybe somewhere at the side, put a little air pump to it and get that cycled, because you're going to need a cycled filter, because these guys need really super clean water. And the brilliant thing with Pygmy Corys is they don't eat the eggs or their fry, so you can keep them in this tank with them. So that's what I'm going to do. There's 9 in here in total. Some of them are whizzing around and exploring up in amongst the plants and around the back of the spawning mop at the moment. So that's how we are so far. So we've got a sponge filter which is cycled. I've added 2 spawning mops in there that we made on a previous I'm not sure which one it was. I think it was for the killifish to spawn in. We made them, so I've washed them all out, made sure they're all clean, and we put them in there just for something different, because I wasn't too sure. Normally I've spawned these before many moons back, and they're actually showing a little bit of a sign of breeding behaviour there. Because I've taken them from the water, maybe a little bit of the chemistry's changed, something's changed. There's a little bit of RO water I had in there as well, so maybe that little bit of chemistry is starting to wake them up a little bit. Who knows? We never know. We'll have to wait and see. Any action will probably happen tomorrow morning, or maybe the next couple of days after that. We're not sure. The rest of them are just rooting around down here and looking for bits and bobs that I've put in there for them. Yes, spawning mops in there, and plants, very important, because they will lay on the actually there's a little baby sakura in there as well, if you just see that. Just saw a little one come off the plants. Yeah, really important with plants, because they will lay their eggs on the plants. Okay, and I put the spawning mops in there just to to try, really, because fellow aquarists that I know that have bred these in the past say they've bred on the sponge filters and not on the plants. Some of them have said they breed on spawning mops and not on the plants. Others said they breed on the glass instead of the plants, or some breed on the plants. So we've got it all covered this way, the way I've done it. We've got everything in there that they need. Now over the next couple of days, if we don't get any action today, which is probably highly unlikely, but in the case we do, we're filming, so we can film that. They seem a bit busy just feeding at the moment. But what I'm going to do is the temperature in there at the moment, okay, is around 25 degrees. I'm going to keep it at 25 degrees, which is the same as the bench tank, okay. And what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to start adding RO water. Now at the back there, it doesn't matter if you haven't got one of these, but I've got that little tray at the back which I used to fill with media up there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my RO line, which is around here, okay, and I'm going to actually just put that inside, not in there Mark, there you go, and put that up in my little clip. So now that is up in there. Now over a few hours tomorrow I'm going to leave the RO unit on. In fact, I could start doing it now because it's not going to harm anything. and that will slowly, that's going to slowly start changing that pH of the water. Now the bench tank parameters in there pH wise is 7.2. Now I want to lower that pH to about 6.5. That's what I want to lower it to, and that should encourage a spawn. Now in the wild these things live in river systems and in Brazil, and when they get that low rain, that water will slowly drop away and everything concentrates in there a little bit more. The food's not as abundant, and these guys just meander around all day in large shoals just looking for food in amongst the mud and in amongst the substrate. Now what happens is, as soon as you put that RO water in there, doesn't have to be RO water, you can always use rainwater as well. Collect some really nice rainwater from somewhere, obviously be careful where you get it from, and you can use that to soften the water up with as well. Add that water and that will slowly come out. You can just see that starting to drip now at the back from the RO system. Now that is mimicking rain, okay? So as that rain drops down, that water then, because it's pure RO water, it's been demineralised basically. The cartridges take out all the minerals in the water, so it's basically super soft water coming out at about 5.5. I think that's coming out of there, 5 to 5.5 at the moment. And really soft water coming out of there. All the minerals have been stripped out. Now that's going to soften the water up in here, and it's going to drop that pH, and that's what we want. And that's also mimicking rainfall. It's splashing on the surface, okay? So that also is going to act as a little trigger for them to start breeding as well, alright? Another thing we've got to do is add our cycle sponge filter on. I just said that, but raise the tube up like that, okay? Now if you look at the top of this one's made by, I think it's Aqua One, I'm not sure, but it's got little cuts in amongst the head. Now that's acting like a little Venturi system, so as that water's going across, it's sucking air through and it's creating a really highly oxygenated stream going down into there. Now that's really important as well. Added flow, which is recreating that flowing river again, you see. So everything is raining, the water's getting softer, the food, add some nice food to it, live foods. You've got to use micro worms, freshly hatched Artemia, and that will really set these guys. They'll think, wow, here we go. They get really excited, they start whizzing around in the tanks, and it's great to watch. It really is. Everything happens. It's just like a huge big rainstorm coming along, and they'll be away, okay, which is fantastic. And then you'll see them spawning. So hopefully over tonight you will see some of that action going on. They're starting to get a bit lively, mooching around, and this is what they did for me last time. They'll sit still for a while, then they all start getting a bit active, sniffing around each other, and then before you know it, that spawning will occur. Okay, and we forced that spawning by recreating that rainstorm like I just told you to do, okay? Any other questions? If I do go a bit quick for you, just put them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to help you out, okay guys? Like in all my videos, I'll try and get back to as many of you guys as I can, and it's lovely to see the excitement from you guys, which is what I've got for this hobby as well. I get so excited about breeding fish, and I have done ever since I was a kid. So it's brilliant for me, and it's taken me back doing this breeding series, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And it's been nice to give my bad back a rest doing all these DIYs and showing you guys how to breed some species of fish. Now when these guys do actually pair up and they breed, if you look on the right hand side of the tank there, you'll see two. Oh, that's perfect, they're actually spawning, look at that. Now that is a classic T position. Okay, I can't believe this is happening so quick, and she's actually got an egg underneath there as well. I've literally just put these in the tank, guys, and they are spawning already. That's absolutely fantastic. Now she's going to go in amongst that. I'm getting all excited here. She's going to, look at that, she's deposited that on that leaf, that little egg on that leaf already. That is absolutely brilliant. Couldn't have asked for better than that, guys, really couldn't. Look at that, there they go again. Now what happens is, in the T position, the female will be like that, the male will come across her nose, okay, like that. He will curl round her, he'll release the milt, she will actually ingest that milt into her mouth, so it's thought, and then she will hold in a anal fins. She's got one either side. The egg will come out there. She will hold it between those like that, the egg between them, like a little marble in between those fins. Okay, and then she will release the sperm, and that will go down under her body, fertilise that egg, and then she will go up underneath a leaf and just slide that off, clean the leaf off a little bit first, and then she'll deposit that on there. Okay. Oh, it's absolutely fantastic, that. Couldn't believe that. Very, very, and they've gone back to sleep. No, they're still up there, they're still laying eggs. And the brilliant thing about Pygmy Cories is they don't eat their eggs and they don't eat their young, like I've said before, which is absolutely amazing. I can see another egg down there on the floor. I don't know if you can see it. That little tiny pearl down there. And I can already see a couple up in amongst this moss here as well. Sorry, that's subwassatang, that is. You can see one up the top there, which she's deposited. And we got a lovely big fat female down there. Now what happens is with these guys, is you've got to have a group of about, I'd say 8 to 10 of mixture of males and females, okay, because that female was obviously very ready to spawn. She was full of eggs, and as you can see, they're still chasing her around. And you'll find that one male will pick that male, and he will try and outcompete the other males. You can see 2 males there chasing her around, and then when she's ready, they'll do that classic, that T position, releasing the milt, and then that egg will drop down into those little anal fins, and then they'll be away again. But they tend to do this over a period of days, so it's quite a long process. They can lay anything up to, these are smallish ones, but they can lay anything from like 50 to 80 to 100 eggs given that on that given time. So it's brilliant to watch them, very interesting. There you go, T position there again, perfect. The eggs drop down. Let me try and I'll try and get that for you. There you go, you can see the egg there drop down into those anal fins. Couldn't get a better picture for you there, guys. There you go. Now watch her, she'll go in amongst that subwassatang. They'll be chasing her still, and she will deposit that in amongst there somewhere and hide it away, and then that process will repeat over and over again. There you go, she's released it, and now we can go back and I'll give you a better view. So that was nice, so you could see that happening. That was a nice bit of camera work there. Thank you very much to you guys for staying still for 2 minutes, because they're so quick, they really are. It's hard to catch these guys at it. And you'll find, like I said, they'll have a little break, go back to the bottom, have a little feed, and then they'll be back into the breeding cycle again, and they'll do it all over again. Well, that was absolutely fabulous, that. I didn't think we'd have a spawn that quick, and I've literally taken them from my bench tank there and put them in here for you. If you're new to my channel, hit the old subscribe button there if you like these little videos, and come aboard. We've got some amazing guys on here, and always glad to help you all, and it's lovely that you all help each other out on here as well. You comment to each other as well, which is fantastic, and help each other out. And whack the old notification bell for up and coming videos. Or if you're new, pop back and look at some of the other videos I've done. I've got all kinds of stuff on there, DIY builds and stuff that maybe a lot of you guys haven't seen yet, so pop back and have a look at those. But if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and I really would appreciate that. Thank you very much. But you can see that big female now right in the bottom now. She's quite full of eggs at the moment, but it's probably not her time to spawn. She hasn't come into that spawning condition yet. Now I've hatched out a load of brine shrimps, and I've been feeding the bench tank with brine shrimp for, I would say, about a week, and I've been getting them ready. So if you've got these in a tank of your own and you've got a little group and they haven't spawned, you can do what I've done here, okay, and replicate what I've done, and hopefully you'll have the same luck as well. If they don't spawn the first day, they normally second or third day after a little bit of live food. If you're used to feeding them flake and crushed algae wafers, different things like that. There they go again. You can see them in the background now, chasing her around again. If you feed them on live food, that's super important to get them into condition and to get them going. Now I've been doing that for the past week, so I've really been sort of gut loading, as it were, with a lot of heavy proteins and things, really filling them up. Those females have been producing a lot of eggs, and we've got them up to breeding standards now, you know, up to breeding conditions, sorry. And now we've added them in there, and they'll be away. And they haven't let me down, which is fantastic. Now, if you're going to be breeding pygmies and you go to your shop, obviously look for the adults and try and get them if you can find them. Now, these sort of like max out at around about 1 inch long, okay? What's about 3.5 centimeters or something like that. But they max out very small. They're one of the smallest, if not the smallest, catfish in the world. Pardon me. And they are absolutely brilliant for nano tanks and things like that, because you don't need a massive tank. I mean, they'll live quite happily in that tank, and they're happy in there, they're breeding in there. If they weren't happy, they wouldn't be breeding. So it shows you how small a tank. They're ideal for little nano tanks. You can keep a couple in there, or if you want to keep just a group and breed them, you can as well. That's fabulous, that is brilliant stuff. All busy feeding. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some brine shrimp, and I'm going to put some of those in, I think, while they're spawning. They've taken a bit of a break from spawning now. These aren't fully grown, I would say. The big female just over here, who hasn't come into breeding condition yet, she's around max. She's maxed out, I would say. She's about fully grown. The smaller ones are the males. The females are a lot heavier in the belly and a lot more rounded, and the males are a lot smaller and more streamlined, like in a lot of species that I've talked about before. You can normally tell the females that way. The colorations are the same. It's normally just down to the size difference, and you can see the males a lot more. They're a lot slimmer, and the little girls are all little round little bellies full of eggs, and they're starting to wake up again now, so we might have another spawn. It's been fabulous, actually. They've been spawning like this, and they're going to do this now over the next couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 days, as one stops. It's normally a group activity. There you go. We may have another breed again. Sorry, another spawn. You watch it. There you go. There you go. T position again. She'll have the egg drop down now again. You can see that little egg there, and then she'll go up in amongst that subwassatang there and pop that on one of those little leaves, and there we go again. Like I said, that's going to carry on now for a good couple of days. 2 or 3 days it can go on for, which is brilliant. So we should end up with a good lot of eggs. And as one stops, there you are, you can see them all acting up together there. Brilliant show. Look at that. Fabulous stuff. They're an amazing little fish to watch, very comical. And as the other ones are having a rest, these guys are happily breeding away. And then you'll find another one will start. And then the male, you find, there you go, you'll find one male. There's the egg come down again. Fertilisation's taken place, and up she goes to deposit that little egg. So it's going to be really nice. I haven't bred these for a long time. Look at that. Deposited that on the leaf, and now they're away. And like I said, they don't eat the eggs or the fry, so you can keep them all in the tank together. I'm looking forward to having some little fry coming out in this tank. And the good thing about having a spawning mop is once they hatch, they'll go underneath the leaves, underneath the plants, and in this case they'll be going underneath that spawning mop for a little bit of protection. And oh yeah, she got another egg there. Look. She's gonna put that one on there, I think. Cleaning a little. You see, she'll clean that piece off. And there it goes, she's deposited that egg. Little male had a look at it, and then they swum off. There you go. Anyway guys, I think what I'll do, it's been 20 minutes now, I've been rabbiting on and hopefully teaching you guys some some stuff about these. I'll just have a quick think now and think if there's anything else I need to tell you on this part 1 while I'm thinking about it. If you ever have trouble spawning these guys, I mean, I've done this now, as you can see them there, they've been happily spawning away. And but if you're having trouble, okay, and you want to breed them in your normal tank and you don't want to breed them in a separate tank like I've done here, now if you do 50% water changes in your main tank, okay, a couple of times a week, that's going to encourage them to breed as well. And also, after you've done the water changes, put it in cooler, and then a couple of degrees cooler the water. Make sure that's cooler water going back in, softer water going back in, alright, rainwater or RO water on the water changes to soften that water slightly and raise the temperature by a couple of degrees, okay? So if you're on 25, go to 27 degrees and raise that temperature up slowly, and that'll set them off as well. I've done that in the past where I've had little groups like this that were a little bit more difficult to spawn. This group has just been a complete load of stars. They're even in a little star formation on the floor there, look at that. And they really haven't let me down or you guys down. They've really played the game. Couldn't be happier with that. And another thing I would say as well, if you're going to breed them, okay, you want at least 3 to 1. You want 3 males to 1 female ratio. That's what I would tend to go for in here. I've got 4 to 1. No, I've got 5. What's in there? 6. No, I think I've got 3 females and the rest are males, okay? There you go. You can see the little group there. And they're off again for another spawning mission. Fabulous stuff. Yeah, like I said, they can lay anything really between 30 to 50 eggs over that period of time, over a couple of days. And as one comes away from spawning, there you go, they're diving in there again. Another female will become receptive and it will start all over again. I don't think it's the same female. I think the first one stopped. We've got another one which is starting to spawn now. And you'll find that one male will persistently chase that one female and outcompete the other males to make sure his little bloodline carries on. Now it's going to take about 3 to 4 days, okay, for the juveniles to appear, and about 3 days that they're going to feed on their yolk bag, the little yolk sac which is attached underneath their little belly there, if you're familiar with breeding things. You can watch some of my other videos, okay. Now as soon as these guys have absorbed that yolk sac, or even before they've absorbed that yolk sac, okay, you can be putting in micro worms like the water worms which I've got. I'll show you them again here. That's a culture, and you can see them on the side of the plastic in the pot there. They're micro worms. These cultures are actually coming to an end now. I've got to redo them. There you are, that one's got a few more on there that you can see now. These are tiny little worms, and these pygmy fry will feed on those as soon as it comes out, and that's one of the reasons why I leave the glass clear on the bottom when I breed this kind of fish, this kind of catfish, is because the worms get lost in amongst that substrate. You can use a very fine sand. Zanzibar, I think, do a very fine sand. Or it's called Zanzibar, I think. Maybe I think that's JBL. Don't quote me on that, I might be wrong. But this way the micro worms will sit on the bottom. You can keep the tank super clean that way with an airline, or a piece of acrylic tube I use with an airline on to suck all the bits out and to keep the tank really clean for them. But that's what I do, and I find that they sit on the bottom and they'll root around these fry and they'll find them. Obviously they're more active at night, they're more nocturnal, but as you can see they're not shy of the light today, and they've been used to my bench tank which has been illuminated, and that was quite heavily planted, so I've replicated that tank by putting the plants on the surface for them. That's what they were used to in the big tank, and I've replicated that really. Like I said, same water, everything's the same. All I've done is I'm dripping in that RO water, which is slowly changing the pH of that water and making it a bit softer to mimic that rain. Yep, it's going to be super nice to see some of these little fry when they hatch out. Well, they take quite a while to grow, but they're not too, when you think about it, from when they're born to the age of around 8 months, about 8 months old, they can rebreed again. So that's not a long time, 8 months from being fry to breeding and bringing on another lot of babies themselves. So that's quite a quick turnaround really for a fish when you think about it. Okay guys, just to recap now what we've got in there. We've got a cycled sponge filter, we've got the tank water from the main tank, okay, we've got our spawning mops there which we made, we've got a heater which is set to 25 degrees, we've got some subwasatang, we've got a little bit of rickia in there, we've also got some sage which I pulled from the big tank. That's the root systems from the sage there. Okay, I had tons of that in there, so I've just put some floating plants in there. Try and get some broadish leaf plants. Anubias are good too. I've got one of those in there, as you can see. Extra flow in the water provided by that. Make sure you raise that pipe up to give that a little bit more flow in there, and that'll create more of a turbulent effect like it's going to rain. And obviously you can add, if you want to do it another way guys, okay, if you get a bottle, a 2 litre bottle of just water, fill it up with rainwater, but before you do that you can drill a series of holes on the bottom, okay, or failing that, if you've got a new watering can, you can fill that watering can up with cool rainwater, and you can pour that in through that rose, which is that little round bit at the end, full of little holes, and that will act and sound just like rain cascading away on the surface, and that can bring them on as well. Okay, so there's another way to do it, and that goes for all the corries as well. It's that drop in water, okay, first of all, and then that replenish water going back up again, softer water mimicking that rain. That's what kicks them off, and that's a big majority of the Corydoras family breed like that. Okay, so if you want to get into any of that, that's the way to kick them in and get them to start going. All right, anyway, I think I've gone on far too long. As usual, I get excited. I love giving you guys handy hints, tips and tricks and all that stuff, and I hope you're enjoying this little breeding series that I'm doing for you. And on the next video we're going to be looking at the fry, and I'll be showing you those. So as always, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of Mark's Aquatics. I love you all, you're all stars. Take care, and I'll see you on the next episode of Mark's Aquatics. Bye for now.
Just me and my guitar.